Cal, please.
Yeah, Calvin Watkins, Dallas Morning News. What's the objective with the rookies this weekend for you guys?
A couple things. Great question. I'd say number one is get them connected. Get them connected to each other, the coaches, the building. Part of that is getting comfortable being here and where we work out and where the meeting rooms are and, okay, what's that person's name? What's that person do here? All those things. And then we got a lot of catching up to do from a football standpoint. We're 3 weeks in, I guess, with our vets. And so that's kind of what I talked about to them, the 3 C's. Get them comfortable being a Cowboy, getting them kind of caught up with football, but probably most importantly, getting them connected to one another.
You started the offseason program a little, I guess, a week later than what you normally would as a rookie head coach. Why was that?
I think it was just, you get plenty of work. I wasn't going to do the mini camp. You'd have to start the first week to do the mini camp. Again, you guys get it. This is somebody said underwear Olympics, right? I mean, it's like you get to run around a little bit, but I felt really good about the schedule, and then I wanted the extra week to just kind of give these guys a little bit more time to get away, and then when they got back, it was time to get to work.
Cowboys. I'm old enough to remember when they did pads.
Me too. Me too.
And stuff like that. How can a player make an impression in the underwear Olympics?
Yeah.
How can what can you see from them and say, okay, this guy got it?
It's hard. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't hard. I think it's not just on the field, Clarence. I think it is in the meeting room. It's good questions. We talk about here like we have reviews, not installs. What does that mean? We put the stuff out the night before. It's their responsibility, both the vets and the young guys, the rookies are no different, that they look it over. So when we start the meetings and we start doing installation, that it's not us teaching it to them cold. They should come with questions, ideas, and things like that. So when we ask questions, a little bit of peer pressure. You see the guys that have maybe looked it over more than the other guys. But again, we're not going to get to full speed a whole lot today. We'll do some things. I'm used to some of the older days. Shoot, we used to have 45, 50 guys. Hell, I'll go back to 2006 when I was with the Jets, my first year as a coordinator, and I think we had like 40-something guys, but we didn't have a left guard. So Mike Devlin was our tight end coach at the time, and he was a former offensive lineman. So we put him in full pads. It was probably illegal back in the day, but we did it. And I remember we were running a power play to the right, so Mike was pulling and hitting this 22-year-old just stud linebacker, whoever it was. And then, when you mess up a play, you reload. So we reloaded the play like 3 or 4 times. And Mike was like, "Stop! I need a break. Timeout." Like, I've never heard a player, which was a coach at the time, call a timeout in the huddle because he was so gassed. But we've learned to adapt. There'll be a little bit of a walkthrough. We'll do some more individual stuff and some group stuff where we're throwing. You'll see the ball handling stuff with the quarterbacks, but it's definitely a different era of football.
How important? You have majority of those rookie draft picks signed. How important was that? Get them signed, get that out of the way before the camp. Like, both of us don't have to worry about that. You can really get them acclimated to.
I think it's more for them, just their peace of mind. They feel good about it, so they can focus on football. I think the big thing, for us, it's a little different. Usually we do it 2 weeks after the draft. This week we decide to do it now. They're going to have to leave, so these guys are going to need to have a plan of attack of what they're doing, how they're keeping their conditioning up. Because what I've told them all, and I'm kind of doing individual sit-downs with all the guys, is when you leave here on Sunday, when they leave tomorrow, midday, and they all go home or they go back to their school, wherever they're training, they have to find time to condition. They have to find time to work out. They have to find time to study. Again, talked about getting caught up. The installs for rookie minicamp are much smaller than what we do with the veterans. And so the veterans, I think we're on concept teach 8 or 9 with the vets. So they've got some work to do. But the maturity of this group, which I think you guys have had a chance to talk to them, they're very mature. I think they'll maximize the fact of while they're away, using that time to get caught up on what we're doing, but also find time to work out and stuff. Because, they're flying around, and they've been flying around, and they celebrated the draft as they should. But it's kind of getting closer to go time for them now.
Brian Tudor with ESPN. You've had the job since January, whatever, and you've put a staff down, all the stuff. What's it like to now actually, coach on the field with guys and be out there and do some stuff for the first?
Yeah, it's well, this weekend is always exciting. You see the nervousness with some of the players, but also the excitement. A lot of these guys have been dreaming about this day their entire life, going to play pro football and be selected, or at least have an opportunity to, compete. But for me, I love being on the grass. Like that's where, as a coach, you truly are. You get lost. You get lost in the moment. You get lost in the chance to connect and put hands on and get involved in the drills. Like, I'm a very on-the-go coach. I think you'll see that with our staff. They're very on the go and great energy, great juice. But that's what it's about. I mean, anybody can coach them in the meeting room. It's about being able to take the stuff from the meeting room to the field, but also the development of fundamentals, which you guys have heard me talk about for a long time, how important it is for a coach to be able to take a small, simple detail, break it down into the building blocks, and then get the player to execute it. That's how you take a good player to a great player and a great player to a superstar.
And as the play caller, do you have the time or the wherewithal to, hey, what are the DBs doing here? Hey, what are the D-top? Like, will you go from group to group, or will you?
I will. Yeah, I'll move around. Yeah, I think it's important. The cool thing about what we've been doing in phase 2 is the guys work out at different times. So I haven't missed any of the things we've done from offense, defense, special teams. But I'll obviously be hands-on with Dak and the quarterbacks a bunch. But again, it's my job as a head coach to know exactly what's going on in every room and at every drill. And again, our guys do a great job. The practice faces that we have, this is not one of them, but it's very detailed out, so I can kind of look ahead, Todd, and say, okay, hey, the second 5 minutes of individual, I want to go watch the DBs do this, or I want to go watch the linebackers do a pattern match drill, whatever it is. So because it's so clearly scripted out what we're going to do or what they're doing at those time slots, it makes it easy for me to kind of say, okay, hey, this is the period or two I want to go check out on defense.
John Schottenheimer with The Athletic. You've already been in the building, and I know you want to be authentic to yourself. Have you had to change anything in terms of the way that you carry yourself around the players or anything like that now that being the head coach, different from what your previous role?
No. I think I've always been someone that believes in connection, getting to know these guys. I've always been someone that's able to be demanding, and I'm pretty good at disciplining guys. Not really, man. I just, I promised myself, John, when I got this opportunity, that I wouldn't change, because I think I've seen too many people change. And I think the guys I've seen change, I'm not going to name them, they weren't very successful. And I plan on being really successful. And the reason I think that I'll do that is because of my values, my beliefs, and how hard I work, but also the fact that I'm going to be me, and I'm not going to change that for anybody.
And then how involved are you with kind of like the setup in the locker room? Like, the players get into saying that, like we go in there yesterday, obviously there's some, players that have left and some other guys, Mike is closer to that, things like that. Do you have a big say in that? Is it up to the players? Like, who determines that?
We moved some guys around. This year I did, along with the help of the staff. Again, they don't really get a say in that. But there's a method to the madness. I think when the guys went into the team room for the first time, I made them all stand up after they sat down. I let them sit down, and I had them stand up, and I had them move seats. Why? It's a new year. It's 2025. We'll do that in 2026. We'll do that in 2027 and beyond. I think it's just when you start a new year, do something different, change something up. So it's something that's talked about, thought about, but there's a method to the madness at times.
Nick Harris, Full Star Telegram. I know you guys were obviously going after team captains and guys with maturity, like you were talking about. How have you already kind of seen that buy-in from them just on one-day walkthroughs?
Yeah, you see a level of maturity. You see a level of professionalism. I talked a little bit about, the reviews, not installs, and I think, most of the questions that were asked in the meetings were the guys were on it. I mean, they had done their stuff. We haven't had any issues with guys being late, I think, but there's an intentionality about this group. Just yesterday, we did some stuff like drill work, walk through different things, and the ability of the defense to communicate and the coaching that was going on. It just sometimes you're coaching a guy and he's young and he's kind of looking around and whatnot. Like to watch Donovan look into A-Dub, Coach Whitecotton's eyes, it's like he's hanging on every word he says. And so I think that tells you that you have selected the right guys. Does that mean they're going to end up being great players? No. I mean, you got to develop them and their skill sets and things like that. But this group, from my interaction with them, has been very, very positive and impressive with the type of character and human beings they are.
And just based on what you guys have been able to do this weekend, Savon Ravel, what does his responsibilities look like? How different is it from the other rookies with his injury recovery?
Yeah, I mean, obviously he's going to be a guy that's going to be limited. You won't see him out there running around today. He'll be doing some stuff with the training staff, but he's progressing great. The cool thing about some of the walkthroughs and stuff that we do is those guys can do that. We really don't have limitations on that. But again, there's so much that goes into it, just the film study, and we tape all of our installs. So like a couple of the guys have already started to watch the concept teach days that the vets had, because they already have down the 2 installs really for what we're doing in this camp. And it's cool to see those guys. But yeah, he's done a great job. He was doing all the individual stuff yesterday with DA, with the corners and all the walkthroughs, which is great.
Cowboys.com. What have you seen from some of the guys who came from college on your coaching staff, like Junior and Connor, in terms of going through this process for the first time, and how do you feel like some of the veteran guys are responding to their coaching styles?
Well, I mean, I would ask the players, number one, I would say it's been very positive. Of course, I do ask our players how it's going, and, checking in to see how, the relationships. Obviously, I'm a big relationship guy. I think if you talk to the receivers, they feel like they're getting very close to Junior. They're earning each other's trust and respect. The game of football and coaching, it doesn't change. It really doesn't. I mean, it doesn't. The personalities might, but the X's and O's and what your objective is in coaching, whether you're coaching high school, college, or NFL, it doesn't change. You have to be able to connect with the person you're coaching, one. You have to have the knowledge of the skill sets and know basically what the hell you're talking about, number two, because the players want to know, can this guy help me get better? And I don't think that's much different in college right now, to be honest with you, because of the NIL. It's like, can this guy help me get paid? And if not, I'm going to go to another chance to get paid. So, again, after you have the connection, you have to have the ability to, teach the skill set that they know you can help them get better. And then you have to have the personality that allows you to have the hard conversations. And if they're not doing something right, you have to demand that they do it that way. And so in the case of Connor and Junior, I think, they've both done a great job of earning the trust and respect. And but it doesn't just start there. I mean, just because Matt Eberflus has coached in the NFL for 20-plus years, it doesn't mean that he doesn't have to connect with Deron Bland. I've been here for 4 years. I'm constantly going out of my way, bringing guys up to my office, going to dinners to get to know these guys. I know them, but I laugh with the guys today. I told the rookies, I told the vets this last week. It's like my daughter's boyfriend. I'll say somebody's name and be like, oh, yeah, it's my guy. And I'll be like, it's not your guy. You don't even know him. And it's like, Clarence probably says about some of you guys, oh, that's my guy. Yeah, that was my guy. I'm like, but you really don't know him. So, yeah, I know these guys. I know a lot of our players, but I don't know them as well as I need to know them to lead them and to be the head coach of this football team.
Joe Hoyt, DLS Sports. Savon Rebel's obviously been through a lot and persevered. When you guys are obviously looking for intangibles in players, just how much is that belief in mental toughness aspect kind of in the hierarchy of intangibles?
It's big because there's going to be tough times. There's going to be low moments in the season. There's going to be low moments in your career. There's going to be low moments outside of football with your family. And I think that's something we talk about. Maybe the fact that grit's tattooed on my hand has something to do with that. We look at that. But I think, just when you go through people's journeys, I know you guys will probably ask me about Tyler Neville. I mean, you think about, what he's had to overcome and do. I think that you aspire to be around people like that. I know I do, because they motivate me. They push me to be better. They push me to work a little harder. They push me to stay a little later. They push me to challenge the other guys around them a little bit better. And so it's it's part of the process. We're not going to have just high character people. I mean, we're going to have bad days. There's going to be guys that have bad days, and I'm going to have bad days, and the coaches are going to have to learn how to deal with me when I'm maybe having a bad day. And that's all part of, again, the connection piece. It's not all rah-rah, like, oh, everything's great. It's not that. It's how do you handle each other when you're having a bad day.
He's of the Athletic, Brian. Going back to about your first year and things like that. In 1984, your dad he went from defensive coordinator to head coach with the same organization as well. I know you were just 11 years old at the time, but what do you remember about maybe how he handled being in the building, being elevated, and maybe even if you had any conversations about that later in life?
I actually do. I know the story probably, and it's a great story, so I will share it with you guys. 84, he was the defense coordinator. The team starts 1-7, and they ended up, Art Modell made the decision to fire Sam Rutigliano Tuesday night or Monday night. I'm not sure about that. My dad gets called to Art Modell's house alongside Ernie Accorsi, and he sits down in front of Mr. Modell and Ernie, and Art says, hey, Marty, we've obviously moved on from Sam Rutigliano. I'd love to, offer you, to be the interim head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And my dad kind of goes, well, thank you, Art. I'm honored. I appreciate it, but I have to respectfully decline. And Art's like, come again? He's like, yeah, I have to decline, but thank you. He goes, why? He goes, because if I'm the interim head coach, then these players will not respect me enough to where they're going to follow me and my lead and what I want to build. And so I just thought it was really crazy that he had the conviction to say to this gentleman, say, nope, I'm not going to do it. So the story goes, Art was kind of taken aback, and he looks at Ernie, and Ernie looks at him, and they're like, he goes, Marty, you step out for a second? So he goes, yeah, sure. So Art looks at Ernie Accorsi, who's a dear friend of my father's, now, and he says, can you believe this guy? He goes, I actually can, and I don't think he's bluffing. So Art calls my dad back in the office, and he says, all right, Coach. He goes, I want to offer you a 2-year contract to be the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. And my dad said, thank you very much. I'll take it. And there you go. That's the history of it. So, again, I think, you just have to be convicted about what's important to you. And I think at the end of the day, my dad was right. These interim titles, I mean, how many of these head coaches, and this is 1984, halfway through the 84 season, how many of these interim tags end up sticking? Because usually when you're in the interim tag, the players know it, and the ownership is usually looking for another coach halfway through the season. And they obviously, that was 84, and then 86, 2 years later, they're in the AFC Championship game.
Cowboys.com. Obviously, throughout your time in the league, you've been responsible more or less for the micro, depending on what position you're tasked with. As the head coach, now you're responsible for the macro and the micro. In that vein, as rookies report, there are obviously veterans in the building as well. What are you seeing from some of your veterans, be it Tyler Smith, Mike Parsons, whomever the case, that are helping these rookies kind of acclimate, and how does it go to the culture of what you build?
Yeah, I think it's critical, and thank you for asking. I think, we talk to our group, both vets and rookies, about being intentional about, I don't do the big introductions. So like, okay, everybody get up and coaches stand up. And the reason I don't do that is because I want guys to be intentional. When we broke the first meeting with the rookies, I asked them to basically just spend 5 to 10 minutes mingling and walking up to people that you don't know and saying hello and introduce yourself. And so it was really cool for me, Michael, because I was kind of sitting down at the bottom of the team room watching the interactions go on with the different position coaches, talking to players, and coming down to talk to, Scott with nutrition and Claire and everybody like that. But if you say you're a family, and if you say that that's the culture that you want to build, one that's about being family first and first class and joyful, then what your expectation is that your veterans reach out and will assist these young players. Dak reaching out to Tyler Booker the night of the draft is one example. someone was leaving yesterday. I think it was Jalen Tolbert. He stopped and said hello to 3 or 4 of the guys. Luke Schoonmaker was here yesterday getting some extra work. He stopped and talked to a couple guys he had competed against. Like, it's real. It's tangible. You feel it. And if you didn't feel it, then I would be upset and I would address it. But it's really important. And most of these guys, they look back and they remember what it was like to be a rookie and who looked after them. Like, the coolest things for me at the 2 retirement press conferences of both Tyron and Zach were hearing them talk about the relationships and who impacted them. It's not always a veteran guy to a young guy, but, like, that's what matters. Like, not one of those guys quoted, hey, in 2014 we were 11-5, and they didn't. What did they talk about? The guys that they appreciated and the coaches and Jerry and Steven and the organization, because that's what matters. And I think, you know, in a business like ours where, hey, you know, I'm going to be judged, we're going to be judged on wins and losses. And that's part of the deal. And believe me, no one wants to win more than me. No one wants to win a Super Bowl more than me. But at the end of the day, I'd not be doing my job if I didn't make sure that both young and old player alike weren't investing in one another.
In meeting with these guys one-on-one, the undrafted guys, how different is the message to them? Obviously, they have a much different role than a Tyler Booker or a Donovan Ezra coming in.
Yeah, to me, you know, I don't look at it that way, Nick, to be honest with you. The path might be a little easier for a Tyler Booker because you think, okay, first-round draft pick, he's definitely starting and he's whatever. I don't look at it that way because what's the mantra? Compete every day. So whether you're Tyler Neville, you're Zion Childress, you're Elijah Clark, whoever you are, I'm telling them don't get caught up in where you start on the depth chart. Get caught up on, did you win today? Did you have a competitive day? Were you the best version of yourself today? And if you did that and you continue to stack days like that, then guess what's going to happen? You're going to get noticed by your position coach. Then you're getting noticed by your coordinator. Then you're getting noticed by myself and Will McClay and the other guys. And most importantly, when you're doing that consistently, who you can get noticed by? Your teammates. And when you get noticed by your teammates like that, then guess what? That's when you know you've kind of broken through.
And Josh Butler, how was his recovery? Is that a guy you expect to have back in time for camp?
Yeah, he's doing great. Again, you know, the specifics of it are he could potentially be on PUP. It's really early still right now, but he's doing great in his rehab. He's here every day. He was one of the first ones here, one of the last ones to leave.
You got 1 minute. Clarence.
Back to Clarence already?
Oh, yes.
By the way, can I get an invite to the podcast or no? I mean, just, yeah. All right, yeah.
You heard that. You heard that.
Sorry, Tad. Sorry, Tad. Hey, after everything, hey, Tad, after everything slows down,
Ring the bell, Ted.
Yeah, hey, that's right. I'm burning up his minute. Yeah, I got 30 seconds.
The importance of putting Michael by Dak. Can you just talk about that? Because you said that was a coaching decision. And what have you seen from Dak in his rehab?
Yeah, first one's easy. 2 of our best players, put them together. There's also other things we're doing in there where guys are competing every day and different things that we've kind of put in there. But just they can challenge each other in a good way. And then you asked about Dak's rehab. Yeah, it's going well. He's doing great. And, you know, just it's good to see him out there moving around a little bit on the grass. Good deal. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.